This past week, I had the opportunity to visit two amazing countries, Chile and Peru, to keynote contact center day down there in both of those countries. And it was a really cool opportunity because I was being completely translated when I was giving my presentations because less than 10% of the room understood English fluently. It was a really interesting opportunity or experience for me because so often, even though we go to countries where English isn't their first language, they understand our language. And going there and spending time in a place where really they understood none of what I had to say in my native language was such a good opportunity. But it also was a great chance for me to realize something. And it was when I was on stage the first time. The event was going well, the translator was doing a good job, the audience was seemingly understanding everything I was saying, but at one moment I just stopped and I said, "Yo intento a hablar contigo en español," and I told them a story. What I just said is that I'm going to attempt to talk to you in Spanish, and I told a little story in Spanish and I looked at everybody and I go, okay, that's all I know. And truth is, I studied Spanish for about 6 years and I know quite a bit of Spanish, but I'm definitely not fluent. And when I speak to native speakers, it is very clear because I struggle to quickly grasp what they're saying. I have to do the translation in my mind. But it was funny because when I finished my little story in Spanish, I told them a little story about my daughter's love for soccer and specifically a Chilean player named Alexis Sanchez. The crowd completely just broke into laughter when I said, okay, and that's all I know in Spanish. But what occurred to me in that moment was that people are so appreciative when you take just a minute to embrace yourself, entrench yourself in what they do, in their culture, rather than being so focused on our own. I was there with one other speaker, and he didn't know any Spanish at all, and he was struggling to have any sort of communication with people, but it also wasn't overly interested in trying. And what I realized is by the end of the week, one, my Spanish got better just because I used it every day. And two, I made some really, really good relationships with people. And I think it was because they felt that I was genuinely interested in building some type of a relationship with them. And it made me think like, hey, if you show that you care a little bit about other people, this is empathy 101, but it's such a great example of how we can really make progress. It's giving a darn about where other people come from their perspective, from their culture. All I did is I made just a little effort to invest in their culture, in their people. And in return, they gave me so much more in terms of the response, the positivity, the conversations that were held after, because they realized that I wasn't just some prima donna that came in from the US to talk to them about technology, digital transformation, that I was somebody who came down there to embrace their situation, their business, their ideas, their culture. And in the end, some good relationships ensued. Chile, Peru, beautiful countries. I recommend visiting them. But I love in my heart realizing that when you give to people, you always get so much more in return. Note that.